Listen carefully. You can read countless books, watch endless videos, and tell yourself 1,000 times that you love yourself. But if you don't understand this one fundamental truth, the love you seek will always remain out of reach. This is not just theory. It's the key that Carl Jung uncovered, a truth powerful enough to forever change how you relate to yourself and others. Are you ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery? Jungian psychology teaches us that it's not merely about accepting your shadow or balancing your energies, but about applying these insights in practical ways that transform your life. Every relationship you have is no accident. They are profound reflections of unresolved parts within you. Think back to the last time someone stirred intense emotions in you, whether love or frustration. That person is not just a passing figure, but a mirror revealing something deeply buried inside you. According to Jung, when someone triggers a strong emotional reaction in you, you are witnessing a projection of your own shadow, those parts of yourself you have rejected or yet to integrate. Do you find yourself repeatedly drawn to people with similar traits, or do you avoid certain types altogether? Both attraction and repulsion are two sides of the same coin, revealing crucial truths about your inner world. When you feel deeply attracted to someone, ask yourself, what qualities do I admire in them? Perhaps these are traits you have not fully developed or expressed in yourself. Conversely, when someone irritates you intensely, ask, what exactly bothers me about this person? It's possible you possess that same trait but have denied or suppressed it. Jung emphasized that this kind of self-awareness is transformative, but it demands brutal honesty. You must be willing to see the parts of yourself you have hidden even from yourself. The most difficult relationships in your life are often your greatest teachers. The person who constantly frustrates you might be the key to unlocking parts of yourself that need attention. They are not coincidences, but karmic messengers guiding you toward integration. Remember, just as others reflect parts of you, you also serve as a mirror for them. When someone reacts negatively to you, they're not necessarily reacting to you, they're reacting to the reflection of themselves they see in you. Instead of responding defensively, you can respond with understanding and compassion. The goal of this work isn't only to identify patterns, it's to transform them. Once you recognize which part of yourself is being reflected in a difficult relationship, healing can begin. As you consciously integrate these rejected or underdeveloped aspects, your relationships will naturally become healthier and more balanced. This process takes time. Don't expect immediate results. Observe your emotional reactions as if you were a scientist, studying a fascinating subject without judgment, only with genuine curiosity. Over time, you'll notice that those who once triggered intense reactions will lose their power over your emotions. The healthier, more balanced relationships you seek will begin to emerge. Instead of attracting people who mirror your wounds, you'll attract those who reflect your healed and whole self. True love only becomes possible after this journey of self-discovery. When you love from a place of wholeness rather than lack, your relationships become spaces of mutual growth rather than emotional dependency. You no longer need someone else to fill your emptiness. You are complete within yourself. Here is the ultimate truth. The part of yourself you reject most is the very part that sabotages your relationships. You cannot fully love if you do not accept all of who you are. Reflect on the things you dislike about yourself, the things you try to hide. That is where the deepest healing begins. This is your shadow self. Until you integrate it, you will continue projecting your insecurities onto others. For example, if arrogance in others irritates you, it's likely because a part of you fears being seen as arrogant yourself. If you find yourself attracted to people who make you feel small, it's because deep down, a part of you doesn't feel big enough. Here, you will learn how to integrate your shadow not to become perfect, but to become whole. For only by accepting all parts of yourself can you love and be loved authentically. Your shadow is not just the negative aspects you hide. It also includes your unrecognized gifts and talents. When you reject parts of yourself, you fragment your being, creating an invisible barrier that blocks the deep connection you long for. But when you embrace everything you are, you stop seeking love as something external. You become love itself, and from that place, true connection becomes inevitable. This fragmentation causes us to seek in others what we cannot accept within ourselves. Every harsh judgment you cast on someone else is a mirror. The trait that irritates you most in another person is simply a reflection of something unacknowledged inside you. Pay close attention to your strongest reactions. They hold your most valuable clues to self-understanding. Perhaps you despise vulnerability in others because you fear your own fragility. Or maybe you criticize excessive ambition because you haven't allowed yourself to acknowledge your own desires for success and recognition. Your shadow also reveals itself through your romantic attractions. We are drawn to those who freely express what we have repressed. If you feel irresistibly attracted to dominant personalities, ask yourself, is there a part of me longing to express more power and authority? If you constantly seek partners who need rescuing, you might be projecting your own need for care and attention. Relational sabotage often unfolds subtly but persistently. Perhaps you fear abandonment, so you push people away before they can leave you. Or maybe you fear being controlled, leading you to resist any reasonable suggestion from your partner. These patterns are not random. They are defense mechanisms of your unintegrated shadow. Integrating your shadow requires courage. The first step is being willing to see it without self-judgment. Whenever you feel intense aversion towards something in another person, ask yourself, where does this exist in me? Not to blame, but to understand yourself more deeply. Integration also involves expressing your repressed aspects in safe environments. If you have suppressed your creativity, find spaces where you can express it freely. If you have denied your need for connection, allow yourself to be vulnerable with trusted people. Over time, these rejected parts transform from hidden saboteurs into sources of strength. A powerful exercise is to write a letter to your shadow. Acknowledge its existence. Express gratitude for its attempts to protect you and share your intention to integrate it with compassion. This internal dialogue can mark the beginning of profound reconciliation with yourself. The beautiful paradox is that by accepting your darkest aspects, you become brighter. Embracing your imperfections leads to greater authenticity, and it is this authenticity that opens the door to genuine connections. The deepest, most fulfilling relationships emerge when two people arrive whole with both light and shadow integrated. At this point, you no longer need a partner to complete what you lack. You show up as a complete being. You stop projecting fears and insecurities onto others because you have embraced them as parts of yourself. Even relationships are not just about feeling good. They are about growth. Every conflict, every action, every disappointment is an opportunity to understand yourself better. In this process, you learn to see love not as a destination, but as a journey of self-discovery. Until you grasp this, you will keep repeating the same mistakes. For instance, if you often find yourself in relationships where you feel abandoned, it's because there is an abandonment wound you need to heal. If you consistently seek partners who make you feel safe, it's because a part of you doesn't feel safe within itself. Here, you will discover how to use love not as a frustrating goal, but as a powerful tool for growth. When we view love solely as a source of pleasure and comfort, we lose its profound, transformative potential. Relationships are life's most intense classroom, the clearest mirror reflecting our inner world. Every person who enters your life carries a specific lesson, and until you learn it, the pattern will repeat. Faces may change, but the essence remains the same. Relationship patterns are never accidental. If you examine your romantic history, you will find recurring themes connecting seemingly different experiences. Perhaps you always end up with emotionally distant partners, or maybe you constantly attract those who need saving. These patterns are invitations to introspection signals, pointing to internal wounds that need recognition. Attachment theory teaches us that our early bonds shape patterns that replay in adulthood. If as a child you learned that love is inconsistent, you will unconsciously seek inconsistency in adult relationships because it feels familiar, even if painful. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward transformation. The true purpose of romantic love is not simply to make you happy. While happiness may be a beautiful side effect, love's goal is to reveal aspects of yourself that would otherwise remain hidden. It is in intimacy that your deepest fears, defense mechanisms, and unexpressed desires surface. Love is not just about finding the right person. It is about becoming the person who can love deeply, fearlessly, and consciously. When conflicts arise, the most valuable question is not who is right, but what does this situation teach me about myself? Perhaps your disproportionate irritation over a simple comment reveals a deeply rooted insecurity. Maybe your constant need for control masks a profound fear of abandonment. Though often uncomfortable, these insights are treasures for those seeking personal growth. Attractions, too, serve as powerful teachers. They draw you toward parts of yourself you have yet to fully integrate. If you deeply admire someone's sense of freedom, it may be because you long for more freedom in your own life. If you find yourself captivated by another's creativity, it could signal an artist within you waiting to be expressed. Your most intense attractions are not random. They are maps guiding you toward unrealized aspects of your potential. Heartbreak, though painful, presents an extraordinary opportunity for growth. When a relationship ends, you face two choices: blame the other person and repeat the same patterns, or turn inward and ask, "What can I learn from this?" The difference between these responses determines whether you become bitter or wiser through the experience. Mature love does not seek perfection in a partner. It seeks mutual growth. A relationship rooted in this mindset is not just about individual happiness, but shared evolution. In such relationships, every challenge is embraced as an opportunity to flourish, break limitations, and heal together. Paradoxically, when you embrace love as a tool for personal growth, happiness comes more deeply and lasts longer. You no longer depend on perfect circumstances or an ideal partner to feel fulfilled. Instead, you find satisfaction in the ongoing process of knowing yourself better through the mirror your partner provides. Change begins when you stop saying, "I always end up with the same type of partner," and start asking, "Why do I keep choosing this type of partner?" This shift in perspective restores your power. You are no longer a victim of fate or others' actions. You become the conscious creator of your relational experiences. Embracing love as a path to personal growth requires courage. You must be willing to face uncomfortable truths, challenge deeply held beliefs, and shed identities that no longer serve you. But the reward is immense: more authentic relationships, deeper self-awareness, and the ability to love from a place of freedom rather than need. Why do you keep finding yourself in the same type of relationship? The answer lies deep within your subconscious. The patterns you endlessly repeat are not mere coincidences. They are signals that something inside you needs healing. For example, if you are constantly drawn to people who cause you pain, it likely points to an unresolved emotional wound seeking attention. If you always seek validation from your partners, it may be because a part of you feels unworthy or invisible. Today, you will learn how to identify these patterns and break the cycle to create healthier, more conscious connections. Until you do, you will continue attracting relationships that leave you feeling dissatisfied. Toxic relational patterns act like invisible cycles repeating with mathematical precision throughout your life. You might change partners, but the underlying dynamic remains the same. This phenomenon is not a curse or bad luck. It is the result of deeply rooted subconscious programming influencing your choices without your awareness. These subconscious patterns often form in childhood. When you first learned what love meant and how relationships worked, if you grew up in an environment where love was conditional on performance, you might now find yourself constantly seeking approval in your adult relationships. If affection in your past was often paired with criticism, you may feel strangely comfortable in relationships where conflict is present. The saying "what is familiar feels safe" explains why we unconsciously repeat unhealthy relational patterns. Your brain is wired to seek the known even when the known is painful. This is why many people leave one toxic relationship only to enter another eerily similar one. The first step to breaking these patterns is developing self-awareness. Observe your relationship history as if watching a film. What themes repeat endlessly? Do you always end up feeling abandoned? Are you attracted to emotionally unavailable people? Do you tend to lose your sense of identity in relationships? These repetitions are not coincidences. They are clues pointing to specific emotional wounds. Behind every toxic pattern hides a limiting belief. If you constantly attract people who betray you, you likely harbor a deep conviction that you don't deserve loyalty. If you repeatedly find yourself in controlling relationships, you may unconsciously believe you are incapable of leading your own life. These beliefs act as invisible magnets, drawing experiences that confirm them. Neuroscience shows these patterns are not only psychological, but neurological. Through repetition, you have created strong neural connections. Breaking these circuits requires constant awareness and the deliberate creation of new experiences that contradict your habitual patterns. A powerful exercise is to identify your emotional triggers, specific situations that provoke disproportionate reactions. Perhaps a simple delay by your partner sparks an intense fear of abandonment, or your casual comment about your appearance activates a deep insecurity. These triggers are windows into your fundamental wounds. Healing begins when you take responsibility for your patterns, not to blame yourself, but to acknowledge your role in creating and maintaining these cycles. As long as you see yourself as a victim of circumstances or others, you remain trapped in repetition. The power to change arises only when you claim responsibility. Breaking these patterns requires reconnecting with your body. Relationship addictions function like other addictions, accompanied by somatic signals preceding compulsive behaviors. Learn to recognize what toxicity feels like in your body. Intense excitation, a false sense of safety, comforting familiarity. This recognition gives you the power to choose consciously instead of reacting automatically. A fundamental step is establishing clear boundaries with others and yourself. If you tend to lose your identity in relationships, create rituals that maintain your connection to yourself. If you are attracted to narcissistic traits, define clearly which behaviors you will not tolerate. Boundaries are acts of self-love that interrupt cycles of self-sabotage. True transformation occurs when you dare to choose the new, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. If you have always been drawn to drama and intensity, a calm, stable relationship may initially feel boring. This discomfort is normal. You are creating new neural pathways, new ways to experience connection. Remember, breaking patterns is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. There will be moments of regression, temptations to return to the familiar. Each time you recognize a pattern and choose differently, you literally rewire your brain. Neuroplasticity is on your side. With every new choice, you strengthen new neural pathways. The ultimate goal is not perfect relationships, but awareness that allows you to choose freely. When you are no longer at the mercy of unconscious programming, you can create relationships that reflect who you are now, not the wounds of your past. You can love not out of lack or compulsion, but from fullness and freedom. Authentic love is not something you find, it's something you create. When you love yourself unconditionally, love ceases to be something you seek and becomes something you are. This shift transforms everything. Until you understand this, you will keep searching outside for what can only be found within. Love is not something you give or receive, it is something you are. When you live from this place, your relationships stop being sources of suffering and become expressions of who you truly are. Love is not a destination, it's a journey. We've been raised to believe that love is external, a force that finds us if we're lucky. This romantic narrative, though beautiful, places us in passivity and dependence. We wait to be chosen, seen, loved. But the true nature of love is the opposite. Authentic love emerges from within you as a source, not as something to be extracted from another. When you depend on external sources to experience love, you create a perpetual pattern of lack, like a vessel with holes that can never fill. Love that comes from outside is always temporary, conditional, and limited by another human's capacity. The paradigm shift happens when you recognize that you are the primary source of your experience of love. You don't need permission to love yourself. You don't need qualifications or achievements. Self-love is not a reward for being enough. It is your birthright, your natural state. When you remove the barriers you've built against yourself, even the practice of unconditional self-love becomes revolutionary in a world that taught you to value yourself by your productivity, appearance, or accomplishments. It means honoring yourself in failure as much as in success. It means speaking to yourself with the same compassion you would offer a dear friend. It means recognizing your intrinsic worth regardless of external validation. As you cultivate this loving relationship with yourself, a transformation occurs in your external relationships. You no longer approach others from a place of need or emptiness, but from fullness. You stop seeking in others what you lack, and instead generously offer what you already have in abundance. The beautiful irony is that when you stop desperately needing love, you become more capable of experiencing it deeply. Your relationships then become spaces of expansion, not completion. You don't look for someone to make you happy. You share the happiness you have already cultivated. You don't expect others to heal your wounds. While you can grow alongside someone you don't depend on another to feel valued. Though you celebrate the value they see in you, this shift transforms the very nature of your attractions. When you operate from lack, you attract people who reflect your unhealed wounds. When you operate from fullness, you attract people who reflect your integrity, those who resonate with your frequency of self-love. This is the difference between attraction based on dependency and attraction based on affinity. Practicing self-love is not narcissism. In fact, it is its opposite. Narcissism stems from deep insecurity, an inner void that seeks constant validation. Authentic self-love comes from recognizing and honoring your whole humanity. It allows you to see others with greater clarity and compassion because you no longer project unmet needs onto them. A transformative exercise is to practice mindful self-compassion when difficult emotions arise. Sadness, anger, shame, instead of judging or repressing them. Embrace these emotions as part of your humanity, not as flaws to eradicate. This radical acceptance transforms your relationship with your inner experience and, by extension, with everything external. Remember, love is not a goal to be achieved, but a daily practice. There will be days when loving yourself feels harder, days when old voices of self-criticism resurface. Do not be discouraged. Every moment of awareness is an opportunity to choose love again. Each time you reconcile with yourself after a moment of disconnection, you strengthen your capacity for authentic love. The greatest paradox is that when you stop seeking love as something you lack, you discover it has always been there. It's like a fish desperately searching for the ocean, unaware that it has always been swimming within it. You have been immersed in love all along. Your task is not to find it, but to recognize it, to allow it to express itself first toward yourself, then naturally toward all that surrounds you. This is the secret shared by mystics and sages throughout the ages. Love is not something you do, it is something you are. When you live from this truth, every relationship, every encounter, every moment becomes an expression of this loving essence that is your deepest nature. Love is not a prize awarded for being enough. It is a state born when you fully accept yourself with all your light and shadow. No one will love you as deeply as you can love yourself, and that is the key. When you understand this, love ceases to be a quest and becomes an expression of who you are. If this message has touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you wish to continue exploring how to transform your life from within, Subscribe and activate the notification bell. Remember, love is not something you find. It is something you build, and this journey begins today. Thank you for joining me on this path. I'll see you in the next video. Stay inspired until then.